Thanks for tuning back into this week's Broker Talk show. We're a half-hour show focused on providing you an unvarnished truth about the real estate and related industries. I'm your host, Larry Lawfer. Our topic this week is professional accountability. In business, we all set goals, or at least most of us do, and most of us do it only once a year. Goal writing is important, but it's not near as important as looking at your goals daily and measuring your success or failure along the way. One of the tools that you can use for this is accountability partnering. And we have some guests here who have used this tactic for a number of years. Um, someone, uh, someone, what you speak, that sentence doesn't make any sense. But this is a daily practice. And when you have a daily practice and you are accountable to other people, you tend to be more on target. Later in the show, I want to talk about the 12-week year. But right now, let's get started and invite my ever ready partner, Jim Lowenstern from
Yep.
Castles Unlimited International. Welcome aboard, Jim.
Thank you, Larry.
And there
Nice
was,
to be aboard.
and sometimes we are bored, but never on this show. Uh, I want to introduce both of our guests before we get started. Kate Lanagan MacGregor owns her real estate firm in southeastern Massachusetts, Bold Real Estate. Kate, welcome aboard. You've been here a number of times as our guest, haven't you?
I feel like a frequent flyer. How are
You
you, Larry? Hello, Jim. How are you?
Good, Kate.
were
Nice to see you again.
um,
Thank you.
and new to radio and television and Zoom shows is my good friend Keith Landrum. And Keith is a real estate agent working around Joplin, Missouri. Welcome aboard, Keith.
Thanks, Larry. Glad to be here.
It is exciting to talk about accountability because I know both of you are accountable in your different ways. Kate has a show, Rituals to Rise, that she does at 6:30 in the morning every single day. You can watch it on Facebook. Isn't it a FaceTime show?
It's a Facebook Live, and it's also on YouTube on kate@agentrising.com.
And that is an excellent show. Talk a little bit
Thank you.
about that show because I know you have a whole bunch of guests, not guests, but you have a whole bunch of followers. Um,
Yeah. So when live streaming became a thing, this is back when it was Periscope. I realized that for me in my small little town, that one of the ways that I was going to be effective to be one too many and getting my audience to be expanded, I needed to learn live streaming, and needed to learn video. And at that time, I decided that I was going to do a daily show. And and I have two businesses and a family and animals and just a whole bunch of things in my world. So as it turned out, I decided to do super early in the morning. I'm also a big believer in getting up early and starting your day and checking off most important things you need done early before the distractions come in. So probably 8 or 9 years ago, I started the daily show, and I started on Periscope. And the day that Facebook Live uh, started offering it, I switched over because that's where my avatar is. That's where most of my base is. And so there's about 500 followers right now. And I would say in the course of the day, I don't get them all at 6:30 in the morning, but in the course of the day, about 100 or so check in and watch the video. So we have ourselves a pack, and it's called Rituals to Rise, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a business show, but it's also about accountability, and it's also about empowering yourself to be the professional you want to be and how to get there. So it has really springboarded into a lot of different initiatives in my world and in my training and what I'm hired to do for companies and boards and whatnot. So it's been a lot of fun. I love it. I love seeing my friends there at 6:30 in the morning, and it keeps me 100% accountable.
Is it a call-in show?
Yeah, you could absolutely call in. It's live like we are right now. And as Larry says, about once a week I have a guest on. And then other than that, it's sometimes people will join in if they want to. I will include them to come in. Sometimes they just respond by comment. Sometimes it's only about 10 minutes long max. So we sometimes it's just again the story that comes after.
Exactly. Exactly. Kate and I actually met at a MAR Communications. You were the chairman, and then next year I was the chairman of the communication.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of that committee. I don't.
That's how well we did. We solved everything.
We solved it all. But Keith and I got put together as accountability partners more than a year ago by a coach who's actually been on this show. Do you want to talk about that for a moment, Keith?
Sure. Yeah, we started out doing some coaching. It was group coaching, and our coach Bill Crespo had just kind of picked us and put us together, and we've been together ever since. And we talk every morning at 7:30 Central Time, and we like to keep each other on task. It makes our day start off in the right direction. You know, when we get to visit, it gives me a different perspective by being able to visit with someone that's not in my area and is in a completely different market. It has really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I like how the people in the Midwest say get to visit. That's actually a meeting here on the East Coast. Get to
Well, we
visit.
visit.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really does change your perspective in the morning when you wake up and you have somebody that you have to be accountable to. Keith, every morning we say, how was your real estate day? And we go over what was done yesterday and what we're trying to do today. And I have done this the entire time I've been a real estate agent. And it's always with someone not necessarily in my area. We had another guest who unfortunately wasn't accountable to our time and had a closing that he had to attend. But I started with Renee Ahmed, another agent. He's based in Toronto, more than 10 years ago. And Renee has also been another guest on the show. He went from he had a difficulty going and talking to people. And he, at the very beginning of our accountability, he considered it a success if he drove by the house or if he found the number. He didn't do anything with it. But then in his mind, he called it a success and he tried to build on that success. So the next day he would get out of his car. And then the third day he would actually go, and now he's just a dynamo.
He would go like this, but not hit the door. And then the next day, he would hit the door once. And the next day, he would hit it twice.
Exactly. And I said to him, Ray, Renee, those people in that house, they're seeing you. So
I'm
hope...
wondering why you're doing that in the air to their door.
Jim and I had a conversation earlier this week about this show. Jim has owned this Castles Unlimited International for 35 years now, 36. And you do not believe in daily accountability because you think you're the hardest worker. Do you want to talk about that for a moment? Because some people don't believe in this.
Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just on a talk show. I didn't say I didn't want to be accountable. I'm only accountable to myself, I guess, and everyone that works for me. But
yeah, well, I think
I don't know more to say about that.
Well, I have more to say about that. I think when you're only, we're all self-employed, every one of us. So the only thing we really know is our boss is a jerk. But
Thank you.
the other side of that is if you're the only voice in your head, I think you're missing a lot of what somebody else can bring to it.
Oh no, I have a lot of voices in my head. Don't worry about it. They all talk
A
at the
lot
same
of
time too.
accountability partners.
Lots
Um,
of voices.
uh,
Should we do have a sponsor? I can throw that voice on too. Founded in 2018 by the Academy of Real Estate Arts and Sciences, the RE Awards is now offering top real estate professionals a free listing and SEO enhancing links to their own websites for free. If you are a top real estate professional and want to be included in the RE Awards, go to thereawards.com and contact them today. The reawards.com is where you'll find the best RE professionals.
so, Jim, let me ask you a question about the RE Awards. How do you vet the people in there? Do you do it by?
Oh, you have to ask them. Well, why are you asking me? I'm just reading the ad.
Well, you know more about it. You're you're
Oh,
reading the ad, so assuming
okay. I mean, obviously they're vetted.
they are, because
Yeah,
you're not an award-winning
real trends and production.
and risk media and things like that. The
Yeah,
Boston agent,
testimonials. Yeah,
right? The Boston agent just
some
came
of
out.
them are even licensed.
All of them are licensed. Is that somebody a train going by somebody's house, or is that?
I'll mute myself. It's Needham Center. What can I tell you? It's a warm day. I've got the window open. We have a
Ah,
commuter. We have a commuter train. I don't know why it's coming by at this hour. There's no
well,
commuters in the afternoon.
anyway, it's a Zoom show, so what can we say? Um, Keith, talk for, you mentioned that we have different kinds of ways of approaching things. What are some of the things, because you had never done accountability before we were thrown together, what are some of the things that are takeaways for you?
Well, for me is it puts a different voice in my head than my own voice. Like Jim was saying, he had lots of voices, and I have lots of those that run around in there too. And as soon as a squirrel crosses the road, I'm right behind him trying to catch. And it really has changed my focus by being able to talk to you in the mornings, and it gets my mind set for lead generation time and actually doing things that I need to be doing to be successful as a realtor. And since we've started doing our accountability each morning, the business is flowing like it hasn't before. I mean, it truly has, just like the missing piece to the puzzle that I needed to have a more repeatable business.
Right.
And I do more of the same things and do more of the activities that we should be doing each day as realtors anyway. You know, we all know what we should do, but sometimes we just need somebody to talk to about it and get us started.
So I want to jump back to the goal setting, and talk about that a little bit. The goal setting is something that happens. Many people do it once a year. They write down, I want to make this amount of money. I want to close this number of deals. And then they don't look at it maybe once or twice a month. But with goal setting, you should really be looking at those goals every single day. And we're going to have an upcoming guest in one of our other shows, and they're going to talk about their book, The 12-Week Year. And it's a really interesting concept. It's based on the fact that at the end of the year, all salespeople and most everybody else, they're driving to get something done. You're going away on vacation. You always seem to be really busy. You always seem to be able to get it done. And what these people have said, Brian Morin and Michael Lennington, what they have said is that if you break your year down into four separate, so it's a quarter, so April to June 30th or 31st, whichever the last day of this quarter is, that you treat those 12 weeks as a full year. So then you have 4 end of year closings, and you're more focused in getting things done. And you're forced to look at the things. Okay, so if I want to do, and this is a standard practice in real estate, if I want to close 100 sides this year, let me make it 120 because it's easier on the math. If I want to close 120 sides this year, then that means I need to close, what is it, 10,
30.
huh?
Oh, 10 a month. Yeah.
10 a month. So my math.
You get 4 New Year's Eves this way too?
When was the last time you did anything on New Year's Eve? Certainly not this year. Last
Just
year.
go to sleep early. I'm just wondering if I can go to sleep early 4 times a year.
Sure. You see
Pretty good deal.
Yeah, if you had an accountability partner, they
So
would
they
say
have a whole book written about this.
it and it is fascinating.
Okay.
It's not as simplistic as you would think it was by my definition. They really do break it down a little bit better. Kate, do you do this with your agents at Bold?
So we do some things with agents at both. Most of the training that I've been doing with people is through Agent Rising, and I've been hired, as I said earlier, like for many companies and some real estate boards and whatnot, and to do these like agent trainings. And we do have parts of goal setting or promises in there, different language for different kinds of parts of it, and also what might resonate with different people. And so we do that. We also do I would say a yearly review, but we do it several times during the year. And one of the things that interested me about what you were just saying is, with it being a 12-week year, I'm a big believer in the seasons, and in the seasons even of business, and where we go through those. And I wonder how those get accelerated in the 12-week year.
What they do is, because real estate used to have seasons. This whole pandemic year has been kind of wacky.
Yeah.
And so deals are getting, as soon as the house goes on the market, if it's correctly priced, it's gone in that weekend. Just
But
because.
I mean, like, just even for the agent development, there's times that you are producing. There's times that you're sowing, there's times that you're planting. And I wonder how that accelerates in a 12-week year. That must be one of the concepts that's addressed in there.
It absolutely is. It's several of the chapters. So our week, let's talk about our day. Our day has a certain amount where we need to prospect. So we're talking to people that we knew or did deal with, or people we don't know who were expired or canceled. There's not much of that going on right now. But that's a part of the day. The other part of you is your transactional part of your day.
Right.
And then you have your office and your accounting or your follow-up.
Right.
Keith, how do you break down your day?
I do mine strictly on my Google Calendar is what I do. I have my mornings blocked off for lead generation. I generally, when we talk at 7:30, that's a set in stone time block there. Then as soon as we finish up, I start my lead gen prep, and I will do that for about an hour to an hour and a half to get everything ready, get my call lists ready. And then from 9 to about 11:30 is when I will be on the phone looking for houses for buyers, looking for new listings, those types of things. And then I set aside my afternoons for all my appointments.
I think a lot of agents set their afternoons for their appointments, being out of the office. Is that the way your day works as well?
Yes.
So, let's take a moment and pay some of the bills, and we'll be back right after this announcement.
When you are searching for a new home, you want to be working with a realtor with years of experience, a professional with intimate knowledge of the communities that you are considering moving to, and someone who really wants to represent you as a buyer in what is probably the largest investment you will ever make in your lifetime. The realtors at Castles Unlimited want to be your choice when you're ready to make your next move. Please visit us at castlesunlimited.com or call us anytime at 800-967-3561. The realtors at Castles Unlimited are here to help your next purchase, lease, or sale of any real
You
estate.
got to be on memorialized, Jim.
Well,
good
we're
jokes,
back.
yeah. Very serious business.
Jim has good jokes. He actually can.
You know what? He's kept me cracking up here.
Yeah, yeah. He has done stand-up comedy. Jim has, and it's not just in his real estate career.
Hardy har.
Hardy har har. Yeah. But back to the 12-week year and the seasons. We're in the end of the spring season or the beginning of the spring season right now. Spring season started so early in Massachusetts.
It did. Absolutely.
How is it in Missouri?
Spring
Can we
season
just call it
here.
Missouri?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Correct.
I'm from Southeast Missouri, so it's Missouri to me. Some people call it Missouri.
Does
I mean,
everyone in Missouri call it Missouri?
Yeah, pretty much,
Really?
or misery. One of the two.
You should spell it differently.
Yeah. Our spring selling season normally will start usually in February, is when we start revving up, and then we'll get through there to summer season, generally end of May through end of August. Then we'll have a little bit of a break in the fall, and then normally our winter season is a little bit stronger than the fall season. It seems to be people are looking to make the move between the first semester break with school and the second semester break. So we get a push normally through December that really kind of ends our year pretty strong for the most part.
That's interesting. That's not the case here. People want to be in the new town. If they're buying into new town to go into a new school district, they want to be in there in August so they can be registered. The kids can be registered for school, and that is.
I wonder if that's going to be anything anymore. I mean, really, the kids have been out of school in some cases for a year, being homeschooled.
It's going to change. It's going to change. Where there will be a new normal.
There's going to be some new habits.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be surprised. I don't know if we're going to reset anytime soon back to the way it was. And I think that after a year or so, don't forget, last time there was a pandemic, there was no technology to help change behavior.
Yeah.
Just a thought. I mean, all this new technology sort of came at the same time.
Right.
As, I don't know how much people were using Zoom before this, but
hardly at all.
Use it a lot more after.
I mean, everybody's on Zoom pretty much all the time. It's amazing what this platform has allowed people to do. And it is your show is FaceTime, isn't it, Kate? And it's not. Yeah, it's not Zoom.
It's actually on Facebook and on YouTube. I use a program called StreamYard so that I can have different guests in, and I can have it be put out there on several places. It should be on LinkedIn sometime soon as well. And the program, talking about your accountability, the rituals is an acronym for reset, which is Sundays, investigate Mondays, T is touch, that's Tuesdays, W's is up level for Wednesday, and then A is act, Fridays is learn, and then Saturdays is self-care. So we follow a theme on just trying to touch base again, back to almost like that seasons part, like making sure that we're addressing, not just productivity and not just growth and not just, just really kind of getting back to, our rituals. And rituals, to me, the definition is any no-brainer activity that you just do automatically. And you two have, Keith and Larry, you guys have ritualized that meeting in the morning. So you don't have to think about, am I going to jump on with him or not today? And so that is something that has really worked for you. That takes no energy for you guys to sit down with each other. And so that energy is saved for during the day for high production activities. So that's I mean, I am so impressed. And when I first heard about this, Larry, when you were talking about that, about your accountability partners and other parts of the country, and that you did it on a daily basis, I'm like, that is so awesome. And what a great, isn't it great that you guys found each other? That's awesome.
And that was happenstance. The other times I came in through a coaching program, and we would be coaching about something, and they would break out, and I would say, "Is anybody interested in doing this?" The beauty of doing it with somebody outside your own area is that you part of the accountability is you practice scripts. You practice objections, and somebody in the Northeast is going to object differently than somebody in
whole new set of scripts, right? Whole new set of circumstances.
Yeah, you may
So
talk.
what have you learned from Keith?
What have
how to approach people? Yeah.
What have I learned?
Tell us something.
Keith is an excellent listener, and he is slow to jump in. We're here in the Northeast, we talk over each other. Keith lets people finish their statement. And, you say you don't listen, Keith, but you really do. I know you're thinking about what you want to say, but that's one of the things that I've taken.
Keith's still on the show?
Yeah, I'm still here. I have to work on that listening, because I tend to want to jump in also, because I'm afraid I'm going to forget what I wanted to say.
So Keith,
there are no words.
Right. I think we learn from each other, and I think that's a huge benefit, Jim, is learning from each other. You tend to, because you're the broker owner, both you and Kate are broker owners, you tend to want to be the adult and say, here's the things that you need, or bring me your problems and I'll help you solve them. But when you give up that role and you're just talking back and forth with another professional, it changes the dynamic of it. And Kate, you said that we didn't have to work at it, but there are times, I don't know for you, Keith, but there are times that are like, oh, darn, I got to get up. I got to,
Kate, how many agents do you have? Just curious.
We have about 15.
Okay. And are your agents listening to the show every day or every now and then?
Well, I have to be honest. It's a little bit of, like the cobblers, kids have the worst shoes in town. They're tired of hearing it in me. And I'm very passionate about a lot of the stuff I talk about. So a lot of times they're like, yeah. They have everything. They have like all the tools and I think many of them do. But as far as them showing up at 6:30, I would say most of the people that show up at the 6:30 for that are people from other parts of the state. Right. And actually country, because there's people listening now from, as my training has grown, that are listening, and they show up more. Like they think I'm smarter than my agents too.
we have a lot of listeners from India.
That's always the case.
Yeah.
And
do you really? Yeah. So,
I'm just guessing.
I will say this though, Jim, I am a little bit like you, as I am, as far as accountability partners or whatever, like what they do. When I had them, I would lie. Like I would be like, oh yeah, I called 10 people, or whatever the right answer was supposed to be. And it's only when I started doing this that I was accountable to myself first. And then a lot of people by me showing up consistently every day. Right. So one day doesn't matter if someone misses it one day, but if I show up every single day and it's a no-brainer activity, then those little drips in the bucket are going to fill the bucket, but it really has to be. And that's why I was saying it's the power of the pack, and like we all are there for each other. And, and so that has worked and been effective for me, because one-on-one, I was not so great either. And, I was talking to my business partner about this the other day. Like, I used to be awful. I'd be like, oh yeah, I, did this. I called 10 people. I did, and I didn't do anything. So maybe that's being broker owners, that same kind of thing. It's like, you have to be accountable to yourself. And when the day is done, it falls on you on whether or not you're successful, for all of us, really.
It's in that respect, it truly is a numbers game. How many calls did you make? How many appointments did you make? And I had trouble with all of that, count what I was counting. I would think, okay, I have to. Well, one of them back in the very beginning, I need to send out 20 letters every single day, and I would do 20 letters, and I'd say, good, I'm done. Well, that after a while, I realized I needed to do more than that.
Right,
So,
because no one was responding to the letters.
Exactly, or not enough people, because it just wasn't enough. So,
so here's I figured it out. So the last 10 minutes of our show is the best minutes of the show. That's why Kate does a 10-minute show. She realized it doesn't matter how long the show is or how short it is. It's always the last 10 minutes. I'm just going to do a 10-minute show. It's like, I realized that only the last 10 minutes of an open house, people come. So why am I doing an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours? I should just do a 10-minute open house.
Well,
so next
because
week,
you got other fun things to do during those 2 hours.
Let's do a 10-minute show next week, Larry, and see how that goes.
You could do
three.
I think you guys do an amazing job.
I think we do 3 10-minute shows, just like that 12-week year. We can do a
you could.
10-minute show.
Thank you, Kate.
I'm sorry. Whatever you say.
I think
Kate.
it sounds brilliant.
Well, we're the whole concept of broker talk. When Jim and I talked about this a year and a half ago now, wasn't it, Jim? When we did our first show,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea was to bring guests in and have interesting conversations that people could gain something from. And that's what this show is, and the other
maybe
show.
Not this episode, but hopefully in the future we will reach that goal. We're
critical mass.
We're working towards it. We really are.
Oh my God.
Well,
I learned something. I learned a lot. I did, and what I
Who wrote
heard
that book, by the way? You gotta plug the author.
I did. Brian Moran and Michael Lannington. 12.
I don't think Michael's going to like that font. Very tiny.
Well, he might not have been as
joined his name.
He was the one who really wrote the book too. You know that. The other guy paid Michael to write it.
I've actually heard these guys speak, and they're pretty dynamic. Brian is the guy out front, and Michael is the more quiet guy.
Like you, Jim, the quiet guy.
Yeah. So I had a favorite book by Thomas Irwin called All You Can Be. And the first time I bought it was at MAR, I think right in their little bookshop in Waltham, Massachusetts. And this is like 100 years ago. But I kept buying the book and kept giving it out. And then it was out of print and I was buying them on Amazon. I guess I bought up every copy. And I only have a couple copies left. It's not even on Amazon anymore. It's gone. You can't even see sold out. It's you put Thomas Irwin and All You Can Be. You get Thomas the train, the cartoon. You can buy a shirt.
He thinks he can.
And it's kind of sad, you know.
Well, yeah, but there's so many books that are being, which is another accountable thing. It is absolutely essential that every real estate agent, every professional, no matter what your industry is, that you become a student of it and you continue to learn. You continue to talk about new ideas and how to do things, new technologies. I mean, it's daunting, especially for old folks, you know, the technologies that we have to
learn. Started on the technology. I'm going to say business card, yard sign, MLS. That's all you need. You can even put down the cell phone. People will show up to the open house And in this market, they will give you an offer. And
Oh,
that's the
That's
only
the
thing you
shortest book ever written.
That's the only tech you need.
this is a holdover from last week's show. Jim is of the opinion that getting as many people into the house isn't as important. You have to have the right people, and the right people are looking.
No. We never went down that road. I'm just saying the tools you need doesn't
You
have
just
to
need the
be. Well, I think it started with we had Larry Wright out from Gibson Sotheby's. And he was
Sotheby's.
saying, "Oh, Sotheby's is this and it's that, and we have the greatest technology." Now everyone wants the biggest technology. You know what I'm saying? Big tech. Compass went public.
Killers like that. They all
Yeah.
say that. They all say that.
Compass say, well, you should pay 20 times, sales because we're a tech company. They're not a tech company. They do the same thing that every other company in the business does. And now that they went public and their stock price is dropping, everyone sees, maybe not
They're
such
a real
a tech
estate company.
It's a real estate company. Yeah. So
Well,
it's not Zillow.
Redfin,
and
Zillow.
It's not Redfin.
Right. EXP is another one.
EXP, they can argue they're kind of tech heavy because they don't have the brick and mortar to fall back on.
That's why the split is different and all of
I
that.
don't want to say a crutch, but they gotta, they're like Avis. They have to try harder. Remember that commercial?
Yeah.
We're number
So,
two.
so
we
here's
try
what I
harder.
learned today from Keith. We learned to listen more, and from Jim, we learned you only have to show up for the last 10 minutes.
And all you need is a good yard sign, a good business card,
And
an
MLS.
offer form to run, and MLS, and a well-priced house.
An offer form.
All
You
the
just
other
need a handshake.
technology.
Yeah.
Even the podcast. Actually, the podcast is pretty good technology.
Yeah, and we our numbers continue to grow. We people that
You guys do a great job.
watch it live, and then it gets picked up. Usually in the first month, people, I'll see the same IP address, and they'll listen to 2 or 3 at a time, probably in the car. So they might not be looking at us, but that's a good thing.
So
for
you can
them.
anticipate now that people are getting back in their cars, you're going to see a jump.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So finally, speaking about getting back, didn't you have your second shot today?
No, I had my first today. So I have my first. So I
Today's
no, I had
my
my first shot
28th
today.
day. Yeah,
Your 28 days, so you're free and clear.
I got the Johnson and Johnson, so I basically have no immunity at all, no matter how many days.
So you can go outside.
It's
get on that subway.
Vaccine they give the homeless. Yeah.
Well, Keith, talk about that vaccine that they use in farms.
The ivermectin.
Yeah.
I take ivermectin every 3 months.
And
it's
explain what that is.
Well,
I know what that is.
It's a dewormer really for cattle and horses but they use it a lot in other countries, and some of the countries that they use a lot of it in didn't have any of the coronavirus, and we kind of got the information on it from a couple of veterinary friends that we have, and one that's a family member of my wife's, and they have used it, and they don't get sick very often. So we figured, why not?
You actually did get sick though, Keith. You actually.
Oh, I did, but that was before I started taking the ivermectin. That was
big tube. Do you take the whole tube?
No. It's like it's based on your weight. So we use it just the same way as you would, to inject it. Only we mix it in milk. And
there's another one. It's called fluvoxamine. Is that the same thing?
I don't think so. I don't think it is.
This is one that got written up a lot. This was actually saving a lot of lives. Fluvoxamine maleate, 50 milligrams.
See, you learned
There you go.
so much here when you listen to Broker Talk.
Yeah, you just learned how to not get coronavirus
Ugh.
or cure
I
it
have a
if
new
you got
puppy
it.
that's been sick, and she has a ton of medicine. And I have been eyeballing it because I don't take any. And I'm like, I wonder if I should try some of that. Now I know I should.
Yeah.
Another thing I learned.
Well, this is the longest show we ever did, Larry. Do we have enough tape?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, we have that
Are we
tech.
doing this on a cassette?
Yeah, we have the
Old
technology.
school.
Oh, we forgot to press play.
Yeah, no, I do want to thank Kate Lanagan MacGregor of Bold Real Estate and Keith Landrum. You're with Keller Williams, aren't you, Keith?
Yes.
And then Jim and I at Castles Unlimited International. Thank you all for being part of the show, and we really appreciate your time here. Join us next week.